In San Francisco, Will Rodman, a scientist, has worked at Genesis Laboratories for 5 years on ALZ-112, a genetically engineered retrovirus that could cure Alzheimer's disease. ALZ-112 not only repairs brain cells, but genetically enhances them. The lab uses chimpanzees as subjects, giving them a human level of intelligence. One of these test subjects is Bright Eyes, a female chimpanzee that was recently captured from the West African jungle. Much to everyone's shock, Bright Eye goes on a rampage 2 months into her trial before security is forced to kill her in front of the board members, thus ruining any chance of developing ALZ-112 further. With everyone assuming that aggression is a side effect of the drug, Will's greedy and unethical supervisor, Stephen Jacobs, orders all 12 test chimpanzees put down after Bright Eye's rampage. But it is discovered that Bright Eye's aggression was not because of the drug, but due to her maternal instincts to protect her baby, to whom she had secretly given birth a day or two earlier. Robert Franklin, the chimpanzee responsible for carrying out this order, can't bring himself to kill the infant, and instead gives it to Will until he can find a sanctuary for him. Will takes the infant home. He lives with his old dad Charles, and the two get attached to the little chimp and name him Caesar. Over the next 3 years, Caesar inherits his mother's high intelligence due to the drug, thus learning at a fast rate. Caesar is able to learn sign language, understand English, and play chess. Although it is not approved for a human trial, Will also gives a sample of ALZ-112 to his father, who is suffering from Alzheimer's disease. The next day, Charles is energetic, as it appears the drug has cured him completely. After sustaining an injury, Will takes Caesar to the vet. A lady named Caroline, being the horny scientist that he is, Will asks her out and the two start dating. In the next scene, the couple and Charles put a leash on Caesar and take him to the national park, where he feels free and starts climbing the trees. After a 5-year time jump, Caesar is grown up, but he clearly is not happy with being on a leash nor being treated like a pet. Unfortunately, Charles is sick again. His body's immune system develops antibodies that fight off the virus, and his disease returns stronger than before. In his state of dementia, Charles gets into a car and attempts to drive it, as the keys was carelessly left in the ignition. He presses the gas and hits the car in front of and behind him, getting the attention of an ill-tempered neighbor, Douglas, who threatens Charles. Caesar is altered to the situation and attacks him, biting Douglas's finger off in Charles' defense. After the incident, Caesar is sent to the San Bruno primate shelter run by John London, who assures Will he will take care of Caesar and integrate him. Caesar is upset and heartbroken to be left behind by his closest family. After Will leaves, they put our chimp inside a cage along with other chimps, where they are mistreated by the guard, Dodge. Especially Caesar, who in the playground is not welcomed by the rest of the pack either, and the leader of the chimps, Rocket, attacks him. Meanwhile, at the laboratory, Will creates a more powerful virus called ALZ-113 to further treat his father. The drug strengthens the intelligence of the apes, but is knowingly fatal to humans. While testing the ALZ-113 on a scarred chimp named Koba, the latter manages to expose Franklin to the new virus, who then begins sneezing blood as a result. Despite this, Caesar manages to form a friendship with Morris, a former circus orangutan who also knew sign language. Later, Dodge brings some visitors to the facility. Without caution, the male visitor moves too close to Caesar's cage and is grabbed by Caesar in a badass scene, and he manages to pickpocket his knife, and later on uses it to open the hatch to his cage. He goes into the play area where he frees Buck, a large aggressive male gorilla, gaining his respect and friendship. Caesar, with Buck at his side, lures Rocket into the playground, where he hits Rocket over the head with a metal gasoline canister, but he does no more harm, establishing his dominance over the apes in the facility. and Rocket submitting to him. In the next scene, Will wants to inject his father with ALZ-113, but he refuses. Holding his father's hand, Will falls asleep, and when he wakes up in the morning, his father has passed. Back at the lab, Will is frustrated to see Steven has ordered everyone to work on ALZ-113 to make it available for sales without testing it thoroughly first. The two get in an argument with Steven, threatening to fire Will, but Will says don't worry, I quit. Classic. Meanwhile, Franklin's condition deteriorates, so he visits Will to ask for help, but he's not at home. He runs into Douglas and sneezes blood on him. Will goes to the sanctuary and offers money to London in exchange for Caesar's release. But at his cage, Caesar refuses to go with him and closes the door of the cage. Later, Caesar steals cookies from Dutch and gives them to Rock. Though tempted to eat them all, he instead gives them to the other apes. Caesar gains the respect and companionship of Rocket and other apes. Later, Caesar tells Morris his reason for making Rocket share the cookies.
Apes alone, weak. Apes together, strong.
Morris states,
Apes is stupid. This crap, I'm too old for this
which knowingly gives Caesar an idea. Observing a guard using the pen code, he memorizes it and at night gets out of the sanctuary to visit Will. But he's not here to watch them have coitus. He steals some of the ALZ-113 samples, brings them back to the sanctuary, and distributes them among other apes so they can get smarter. The next day, the smart apes gather together. London witnesses them, but doesn't pay much attention. Franklin is found dead at his apartment, revealing that ALZ-113 is fatal on humans. Back at the sanctuary, Caesar refuses to get back to his cage, which prompts Dodge to get inside and beat him up. But Caesar stops him, and in a shocking scene, he speaks, saying,
I'm Monkey Batman.
He knocks Dodge out, then releases all the apes from their cage, and they escape the facility. When Will wakes up, he notices somebody broke in his house, suspecting Caesar, so he visits the sanctuary and sees the police are also there. Investigating through the footage, they see the apes rebel. Will tells Caroline he knows where Caesar is going, and the two leave. The apes raid the Genesis lab and free all the other apes, including Koba. Steven arrives at the ransacked lab only to be chased by the apes. He manages to escape and get on a chopper. The ape army then frees the ape from the zoo and rampage through the city, with Caesar leading them. Climbing on top of a cable car, Caesar and his gang look onto the Golden Gate Bridge. The scene then transitions to the bridge, where at the end a police blockade is waiting for them. Caesar is too smart to fall for it. He orders his army to stop and launches a three-pronged plan. Most of the chimpanzees, guided by Koba, climb up the bridge, while others mobilize beneath the bridge. Will slips through the police and gets on the bridge, and is horrified by the battle between apes and humans. Buck confronts a policeman and takes him down, but just before he can cause serious harm, Caesar commands him to halt, and Buck complies. Steven orders his men in the chopper to shoot the apes. Gorillas use a bus and shield themselves. Apes on the bridge close in and drop on men, while those beneath climb up. Together, they overpower the humans. The chopper appears and opens fire to protect Caesar. Buck jumps into the chopper and takes it down. The chopper crashes and explodes on the bridge. Caesar pulls a dying Buck from the wreckage. With Buck holding onto Caesar's hand, he passes away. Steven shouts for help. Koba appears with bare teeth and kicks the chopper off the bridge. The apes are headed for the forest, so Will gets in a police car and drives there. He calls out for Caesar, but Koba attacks him. Caesar stops him before he can harm Will. Will apologizes and promises to protect Caesar if he comes home. Caesar pulls Will close and whispers, I am home. Will is shocked upon hearing Caesar speak, but he respects his choice. Caesar returns to the apes, now upright and acknowledging him as their leader. He ascends the treetops once more to look over San Francisco, observing the chaos they inflicted. In the ending scene, it is revealed that Douglas, who had been infected with the virus carried by the now deceased Franklin, is a pilot. As he walks into the airport, he notices his nose is bleeding, but pays no attention to it and continues to spread the virus.